Airline assured flight attendant she'd be safe to fly to Mexico. When she returned, a dream job has turned into a nightmare for a Texas flight attendant who is now sitting in an immigration detention center and facing deportation to South America. It really boggles my mind why the government would want to seek to continue to detain someone with no criminal history, who was a graduate of Texas A&M and who was approved and on her way to citizenship, but was held for what was obviously a mistake, the woman's attorney, Belinda Arroyo, said in a telephone interview. But here we are. Selene Saavedra Roman, 28, a resident of College Station, Texas, had been a crew member for Phoenix-based Mesa Airlines for less than a month in February when she was scheduled for a flight to Mexico out of Houston's George Bush Intercontinental Airport IA, even though she'd already made it clear that she didn't want to work any flights outside the U.S. Mesa Airlines operates regional flights for American Airlines and United Airlines. This flight was for Saavedra immediately told her supervisors she was worried she was, after all, a so-called dreamer, one of an estimated 700,000 immigrants to the U.S. who fall under the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals policy. Saavedra came, but Mesa Airlines insisted she was legally all right to fly to Mexico and back. She should be okay because it's part of DACA as long as it is not expiring, a supervisor at Mesa wrote in an email reviewed by the Points Guy. Saavedra's DACA status is good until November 2019, according to a Department of Homeland Security notice also seen by TPG. And though the legal according to her husband David Watkins, Saavedra agreed to work the flight because she was a new hire, still on probation at the airline and was afraid she might lose the job she'd just gotten. Saavedra flew to Mexico out of Houston on February 12, using a Peruvian passport, then got on a return flight for an immediate turnaround. It was the first time she ended up being held at the Houston airport for 24 hours, then Immigrations and Customs Enforcement transferred her to a privately run immigration detention facility in Conroe, Texas, one of several that have sprouted up in the past couple of years to cope with the administration's restrictive border policies. She spent Valentine's Day in prison, I know that, Watkins said in a telephone interview. They're only allowed out, according to Arroyo. Immigration officials at Houston Airport previously would have granted Saavedra a parole legal exception that would have allowed her, as a DACA recipient, to leave and re-enter the country without hassle. But because of but what is clear, her lawyer said, is that Mesa shouldn't have sent her out of the country, and that ICE has no real reason to keep her. Sure, it was a huge mistake on her part to agree to do it, but it was also a huge mistake on the airline's part to advise her to do it, Arroyo said. But these mistakes, worse, Arroyo said that she learned recently that ICE has actively pushed to revoke Saavedra's DACA status and deport her to Peru. Saavedra's step on February 12, Peruvian national Selene Saavedra Roman, 28, applied for admission to the United States without valid entry documentation. She was taken in. A statement from Mesa Airlines said that are aware of this situation and are working to better understand what happened. Watkins said that, besides the legal issues, he's worried about his wife's emotional health. She just sounded, and it's all the more painful to think that her love of travel and flying is what led to Saavedra being caged, he said. She really liked her job, even though it was tiny, regional airports and tiny, regional places, Watkins said. Now I don't eat. Photos courtesy of David Watkins.
Raindrop, drip, drop top, top smoking, no cooking the hot bar. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that.